All right, we are here again at Iron Religion Gym, this time with big Eric Janicki. Finally got to get a workout with him. I'm excited. We train similar, actually pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same.
Very mindful, science-backed, controlled.
I'm just a little bit better, just like incrementally so.
Incrementally. We're gonna try.
This guy's a legend.
We're gonna out technique ourselves.
No, literally, it's gonna be so much technique, it's gonna be nauseating.
Too much control.
Too much.
So just pay attention. Let's learn some shit.
It's basically gonna be a Sam Solik video, essentially.
And minus 20 subscribers.
Yeah, literally. We're literally gonna get so much hate on this video already. But anyway, we're gonna hit some back, maybe little buys. We're gonna focus on mostly back. It's a big point of emphasis for me right now. And nothing builds a better X-frame, in my opinion, than a great back and some great legs. So that's why those are my biggest areas of focus right now. But we're gonna probably run through some different exercises. But like I always say, focus a lot more on form cues and the way we're performing movements over the exercise selection, because everybody's gonna have different equipment at your gym. What I will say and implore you is like, take some of the cues, scapular retraction, peak contraction, time under tension, stretch medial hypertrophy, all of these things we talk about, and apply them to your movement patterns. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, let's go.
It's got a huge pump.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Let's go.
So this is obviously a pull down. The good thing about this is the handles allow for movement in the hands, and hand positioning is huge for back training because you can get a lot more scapular retraction sometimes by actually just turning those palms in as opposed to keeping them neutral, and especially palms out. You're gonna start to get a lot more rear delt and rhomboid engagement, as opposed to here, we can dig a lot more into the lats. So the focus I'm gonna have is what we call supination, pronation to supination. So we supinate it here like bowl of soup. We're gonna rotate out, and then we're gonna huge stretch. That's where a lot of people miss, and you see that I actually put this at the highest position, which is gonna allow me to get more stretch at the top of my reps. So that's something that's gonna be a theme throughout the course of this workout. It's getting more stretch at the top of every single rep. And a lot of people will do this with their back training, and you're just missing out on so much motor recruitment at the top of the rep, and also by keeping your tissue healthier by using longer ranges of motion. So what I'd say is, like, if you train long, you remain long. So if you can train in nice, long, healthy range of motion, you don't have to do as much stretching, right? Because you're training in those lengthened positions and placing that tissue under load in that stretch position. So we're just getting good blood flow with this first set. This is honestly super light, so
I couldn't. I'm just listening to myself talk. Sound like
I just literally copied
How has this never happened before?
I know, right?
I'm like, you're speaking, you're saying exactly what I'm saying.
It's like bromance.
So I'm not gonna.
At first set.
Did we just get?
I think we just got married.
We just became best friends. This is extremely light. So if you get caught doing a warm-up with like extremely lightweight and you're obviously not doing anything, make the rep harder. So overemphasize your stretch. Overemphasize the full contraction of the bottom. Overemphasize the negative and the stretch.
And also something worth noting is a lot of people, they talk about, like, obviously maximizing hypertrophy, like what's too much when it comes from volume. But like, that's not a set. Like, I would never treat that as a set. Like, a set for me is something where I'm actually like taxing my tissue within that, let's say 1 to 5 reps in reserve range. And I'm really pushing closer to that failure point. So I wouldn't never treat that, or probably even the next set, as like a true working set until I'm getting closer to that. But obviously we have to be mindful of getting that tissue warmed up and ready to kind of get towards that failure point. But you'll see, it's not really gonna be as much about the weight as it is about, really controlling that tempo. And that's what's gonna really push the tissue to the maximal limits without having to go like 10 plates on this thing. So I also tuck really far underneath the pad. A lot of people will be sitting back here. I prefer to be really tucked in because I want to be really anchored right at the hips. So I'm gonna stretch, drive, squeeze. I'm gonna get a 1 second peak contraction on these. Slowly, and you see how I went on that negative? A lot of people will just like go up slowly, but what I want you to do is really consciously feel like you're letting it go through your lats, like you're almost holding on through your elbows as opposed to your hands. And that's what I tell people a lot, is pull with your elbows, not your hands. Your hands should be just like a conduit through which to start moving the weight. Your elbows are actually what's going to be the driver of force to keep that impetus in the lats and lower lats. Also, you guys notice we're both using lifting grips. So I think it's incredibly important if you are training for hypertrophy, time under tension, you are putting up David versus Goliath to try to keep your grip strength, to keep up with such a large muscle group such as your back. And I've been using grips for probably 8 years now. And everybody's like, oh, well, you're gonna have small forearms then. I probably have like some of the biggest forearms of anybody I know. So I'm not really too worried about it. But what I would be worried about is my back getting limited by the fact that my grip's giving out way more faster than my back is. So I'm gonna lock it in here.
No, we get down. That's it. Lock it in. There you go. Good stretch. Good stretch. Good stretch. Good work. Good work. Good work. Big stretch. Good stretch. Good stretch. Shift it down. Shift all the way. Shift all. There you go. That's it. Shift those scaps down. Shift them down. Good. Skip. Good.
One more.
Good. Good shit.
It's a great set, actually. Let's go for a 1 count peak contraction hold. Squeeze that shit. There you go. Also, what I do is hold and then slowest release point from there to there.
Oh yeah.
That's where you're gonna get the most lat engagement from that bottom like 3 inches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to go full, closer to full supination at the bottom of the rep. I'm gonna go one more true working set. Try to go within that 2 to 3 with that really strict form.
Yeah.
What I want to do on the last set is a little bit of pass failure reps. So what I like to do, it's something, especially towards my final sets, is hit my reps super strict for the first 8 to 10 reps, and then still with good form, but a little bit more body English, is rep through 5 to 10 slightly faster reps. So you created a ton of fatigue, what's called hypoxicity, in the tissue with those super slow controlled reps. A lot of mind-muscle connection. You've already built that up, and then to rip through some, basically it's almost like a mechanical drop set in the sense of you're changing your form. So maybe you can't do any more with a hold and a negative, but you use a little momentum and you can get 5 to 10 extra reps at the end of the set. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. We didn't actually even do that this set.
We literally train the same way. And knowing when to put in those like cheat reps, it's just caused a little bit of momentum to help so we can get the full range of motion. So the cheat rep isn't to just get extra reps, it's to continue to get that full range of motion. So we have those uncontrollable variables. So the controllable variables we want to have in every set. Our tempo, our form, the range of motion, right? And then obviously effort. Drive those elbows down, drive right down, drive right down. Come on, I got you. Drive right down. There you go, good.
One more tempo, I'm gonna send it.
You got it. Good. Come on, drive. Good, drive. Good, good, good.
So I think this is like the perfect, where like scientific training beats effort-based training, because that shit sucked, but it also was within reason of actually controlling the weight. So you saw I used some basically intensity techniques, what it's called, to induce more hypertrophy, but it was within reason of knowing I'm not gonna get hurt. I did my control reps. I had that really good blood flow, mind muscle connection, that I drove through those extra reps to just really dig through that intensity, because you need to train with intensity. If you're training with just science, you're like, oh, here I go, and perfect scapular retraction, and now you got 5 pounds in your hand, like, it's not gonna work. So at the end of the day, you still need to train hard, but you can do it smart at the same time.
And again, like when you're watching him do his sets, like anyone, if you come into the video and you're watching half the video and you see that last end of the rep, you're not realizing that the speed of the rep he was doing is still under control. Right, it's the difference between doing a, just throwing a haymaker or a proper cross. Right, they're both fast, but one's under control and one isn't. Right, so when you're doing these, don't attempt things like this until you can control the weight to begin with. Don't start off the way you did, because this is not going to elicit anything really, but just, some hypertrophy, but you'll pull something eventually. Build up from the bottom, making sure you can control everything first, and then we can throw that body English in there when you can control your body, or have a better awareness of where you're at in your body, right?
So you see too, how he gets that nice forward lean at the top of the rep, and then digs down and back a little bit. And what that allows you to do is drop the shoulder down and in and really retract your scapula and get really, really good contraction through your lat. Because if you're straight up and you don't lean back and you're here, you're gonna shrug the shoulders, you're gonna go all into your front delt and into your bicep. So he's doing a great job. Let's go like 1 or 2 more tempo, and then you're gonna send it.
So my ascent's gonna be a little more control still, but I'm gonna use a lot of momentum for my hips.
Yep.
So just to fling it down, I can control it up.
Nice, dude. Yeah, baby.
Holy fuck. We're very similar training, and we have our similar techniques in terms of like going outside of the, you know, technical control, but it still has intention. I think you have to understand that when we go in the gym, we have intention of exactly what we're doing. We're not just like kind of winging it. Most of years of built up understanding of screwing up, fixing those screws up, and then being able to optimize our own training to help you guys train that much better.
So you see how after my set, out of breath, after his set, out of breath. By training like this, you're increasing your aerobic capacity. You're actually increasing your cardiovascular health, because when you train for such long sets, you have to inevitably use a lot more oxygen to try to get through those. You get more taxed. And so that's why I really don't do that much cardio in the off season. And my blood pressure is still great. My resting heart rate is super low. Because especially now, imagine this, but for legs, like twice a week, I literally will have, when I finish my leg work, it'll say I have like 90, 100 minutes in the zone, like 130 beats per minute and up, just from training like this. So it's definitely a great way to work out. Obviously to keep yourself healthy, but long-term aerobically healthy as well.
Exactly,
All right, last set, we're gonna do a drop set. So just another intensity technique. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this one. So essentially, as I get pretty close to failure, I'm just gonna have them drop a plate off as I go, and I'm just gonna keep repping without really stopping that much. So I'm gonna let them take it off when I get there and keep going. It's another way to keep digging and get as much hypertrophy as possible.
Remember, your body doesn't know the difference between you actually getting a drop set or not. What it knows is force. While you get to those failing reps and you can't go any more than you drop the set, your body's still going through the motion of the retraction of the scapula, the extension of the shoulder. It's doing the same thing. It doesn't really realize that you're pulling up weight. So doing this type of a drop set is one of my favorites, because we're not necessarily arresting anything. More so just like decreasing the weight so we can continue to keep pushing harder and harder and harder. Let's go, Eric, come on. Good stretch. Look at Eric stretching his back.
Let's take it.
Absolutely stretch, good. Go ahead. Let me know every time. I'll go top, bottom, top, bottom. Come on, come on. Drive through. Good shit, come on. Drive through, let's go. Come on. Good, come on.
2 more.
Good. Good. That's it, let's go, let's go. Come on. That's it, Eric, come on. Good shit. Drive. Good drive. Let's go. Come on. Pull.
All right. Take it.
Put. Come on. Come on.
2 more. I'm done.
Good. Come on. Pull.
Oh,
good
fuck.
shit.
Oh, fuck me.
That's cardio.
Oh.
That's cardio.
Oh, dude. That lat pump is.
Yeah. We're gonna be an asshole and do one of these after. High five. Oh, yeah, I know. Good shit.
Nice. Great stretch. Yeah, baby. Fucking solid. Yeah.
One more and plate off.
One more. You got it.
Yeah.
Good. Yep. Big back, big back. Let's go.
Take one off.
Yep.
Whoosh.
Yep.
One.
Got it. Let's go.
One more.
Yep.
Holy.
But yeah, I mean, that's like the penultimate example of obviously training with intensity without having to train like an idiot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you said, your body doesn't know how many plates are on there. What it knows is obviously levels of exhaustion, levels of stimuli, and stimulus is the king of hypertrophy. So if you can apply stimulus under force with intensity, with good technique, game over. You're gonna grow every day of the week.
Yeah. And I say it all at the same time. It's finding that balance of taking your set for as long as you can with a load that will continuously challenge you. No point doing a 60-second set with 30% of a load of anything. So you're trying to find a weight that you can use that's going to tax you for the longest period of time.
Oh my God, you know what? Ooh, it taxes me, it kills me. The whole it's like either reps or weight. Like that's the only thing people talk about. How many reps are you doing? Oh, you do a lot of volume? We must do like 30 to 50 reps. It's like, no, there's other factors, other variables. How fast are you doing your reps? What is your time under tension? What's your range of motion? What's your rest time? Are you doing drop sets? Are you using other intensity techniques? It's not as simple as what is the weight you're using or how many reps are you doing?
Yeah.
The argument is so much more immense, but I think we like to oversimplify things as humans just to compartmentalize in our brains. But at the end of the day, start educating yourself on how to increase the intensity of your workouts without just thinking about how much weight you're lifting, how many reps you're doing. So there's so much more that goes into it.
Exactly.
All right, so we're gonna do this kind of, I've never used this machine before, but I do like kind of variants where, first of all, I like trying different machines because I find it very fun. It's like kid in a candy store. But what we're gonna do is feet up higher on this. So this has higher foot plates, and what that does is it allows you to anchor and get better leverage and not have to use as much of your lower back, so we can really focus on those lats. So what we're gonna do is really stretch like we were doing over there. We're gonna pull those shoulders down in and pull right below your sternum. So the reason that we're not pulling so high is because it's gonna all go in your upper back. We always wanna drop the shoulders. So if you ever feel your shoulders shrugging, it's not a terrible way to pull because you're inevitably gonna be pulling with your back. You're gonna get a lot more medial, rear delt, you're gonna get a lot more traps, a lot more rhomboid, where most people don't lack in those areas. What they lack is usually lats and mid-back development. So what we're gonna do is pull nice and low, squeeze in, get a super nice stretch, retract those scap and squeeze in. We're using a mag grip here, so it's a kind of supinated position. So like we remember, supinated is palms up, which is gonna help us really keep that contraction in and stretch in the lats. Because what you have to remember is your elbows are gonna follow your hand position. So if I'm supinated, it's gonna allow my elbows to dig down and in and get a really good pump through the lats.
Good shit. And you see, when there's going, you know he's going to lean upward, look at his back, when as soon as he finishes, we're at 90 degrees here and here. Right, he's a perfect end from here, nice stretch in, and we finish exactly where we would be if we were actually just doing this horizontally, even though we're kind of like on a horizontal vertical angle. Good shit.
Go full more.
Good pull. Good. Good. Let's go.
2 more.
1. Good. Pull, good pull. Good, good.
Whew. Really good burn. I know it's a little bit nerdy that we want to consider. It's called vectors of force. Where's that force located? Where's it coming from? So for us, it's coming from high to low. So we have to think about that. And what he was saying is, as I lean back, what would literally normally be way too far back for a seated row, it's not in this case because our vector of force is coming from almost a 45-degree tilt. So I need to lean farther back in order to get that proper contraction. So that's why it's fun to play around with cables, because they allow for that really unique vector force as compared to, say, a barbell or dumbbell, which always is using gravity and coming straight through the floor.
So a couple things when he's, if you're having issues pulling down, and made these cues before, easy one, right? Pull on this handle. Right now, my shoulders are up. Pull the handle down.
Yeah.
Just shift down right away. And I think I always like to say, cue your elbows. So push your elbows to the floor. So when I pull, they're just gonna stay down the entire time instead of being here and then riding up.
Yeah.
So you wanna push the elbows down right away and leave that there and pull.
And then you can almost over-exaggerate that curve. So when you squeeze in, you can almost like row it out, like almost down and in, as opposed to straight out. Because that's gonna keep cueing you to keeping those shoulders down and keeping the contraction in the lats. Everything is very elongated. When you train in these modalities, you're obviously gonna keep the tissue so much healthier because it's used to being in those stretch positions. A lot of the reason that people get injured when they lift and they go play flag football is not because they maybe normally get injured or because they're so quote unquote muscle bound. I love that one. So muscle bound, bro. Well, obviously, if you're training in these shortened modalities, your muscles are, those sarcomeres are gonna get shortened. So when you go and play flag football and you stretch a little bit past those normal length of positions, you're gonna tear your muscle, you're gonna get injured. So this, and I'm gonna knock on wood or something. I haven't got injured training or otherwise in the last 8 years plus since I started training like this, because I think even at this size, it's due to the fact that I'm training in these lengthened positions and putting that tissue under load in the stretch position.
Exactly. And that's the issue when people get injured. Let's say you see a lot of chest movements. Everyone's range, they're getting so strong within that shorter range that when they go a little bit further past that range and they go back to contraction, you get a popped chest, pop bicep. A lot of times, most people aren't running through the 4 range of motion. Let the muscle stretch, strengthen it from its peak contraction, its peak elongated position, and then you get that muscle that much stronger. So, like it's like injury-wise.
And I get it, you guys are probably young watching this video, you guys probably don't even care about getting injured, but if you do care about probably getting bigger, right? And so there is something called stretch-mediated hypertrophy. So a lot more research being done about putting that tissue under load in the stretch position is actually gonna induce as much, if not more, hypertrophy than in the contracted position, which might seem crazy, but that's why you see me milk that stretch. What that's gonna do is actually lengthen this time that I'm putting that tissue under load in the lengthened position, which is gonna induce more hypertrophy. So that would be something I implore you guys to do, is especially for back, quads has been proven a lot, calves, chest, and the pec minor. If you can pause in that stretch position, you're gonna get a lot more growth than if you were not to do that and you were to train those shortened positions. So even if you don't care about getting hurt, if you wanna grow more, this is gonna help you a ton. Even with these grips, my forearms are literally on fire. Just because you're still holding on.
100%.
You're not, it's not completely taking the impetus out of your hands, but it's just doing enough that it doesn't hold you back quite as much. Like my forearm is still burning. So you're still gonna grow your forearms when you're training like this, even with grips. And that's why the forearm pump is gnarly right now. But yeah, I think it's definitely would behoove all of you who wanna grow your back. Invest in some grips. He has the Versas. I've got the Cobras. Honestly, I've used both. I prefer the Cobras because, like you can see, they go a little higher up on your hand as compared to the, so if you have a little slightly bigger hands or bigger palms, the Cobra grips I think are a little better, but you're not gonna lose either way.
The cool thing here when you look at like 4 range of motion, it's good to have points of action. So we have a full stretch here, then we have a full stretch to our stomach. For me, once I can't touch those 2 places anymore, that's when I know I'm getting to my end. So my 4 range of motion can be based on this stretch here, me being able to reach my stomach and pull it. Drive through, elbows, drive the elbows, that's it. Pull those elbows violent, pull them back. There you go. Elbows, drive, come on. That's it, Eric, there you go, come on, drive. There you go, come on, drive. There, good, good.
Oh, that burn is crazy. Do you count reps anymore?
Not really. I do and I don't, depending. Like especially like my last, like I'm doing like my last hard set.
Yeah.
I was going to like either I'm going to try to achieve failure or coming close to, you know, a couple reps from failure.
I'll say, guys, if you...
I time my sets.
Yeah. I think if you're starting out, I think it's beneficial to count your reps, just so you can get a set point of where you're at, and make sure you're in that kind of hypertrophic sweet spot of, let's say, 8 to 20 reps, depending on kind of what level you are. But at a certain point, you can see, I mean, I didn't count my reps on the last like 2 or 3 sets, but I think that comes with time, really understanding intensity and how to train properly. But I think for a given time, you count your reps until you get to that. It's like counting your macros for long enough, right? If you count your macros for 5 years, you're probably in a place you can understand what homeostasis is and eat intuitively, so to speak. Same thing with training. If you train, been training for 18 years, so I really understand, obviously, form, and then I can kind of cheat, obviously, counting the exact amount of reps and go more for feel in that 1 to 4, 5 reps in reserve, so to speak. And I think that's another conversation we had of like, people always want to talk about RIR. Like, people that think they're training 1 RIR, you're not. You're not.
Yeah, I used to say like most time, like it's cool having your RPE and RIR, but if you don't know what actual failure is, technical failure with proper form and actually gassing out, that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's a perceived exertion. What you might think is hard at the time is going to probably change. So when you train with someone like us, we push you through the ringer with good form, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to puke after. That is an actual hard set. Then you can be like, okay, I have 2 or 3 reps in reserve. If you're not used to training hard, proper form, all the great stuff, then like what a rep in reserve is going to be just very arbitrary.
I'd also guarantee, like, let's say you guys were doing this right here, and you were like, all right, I got 1 more rep, and I came and opened up a suitcase in front of you with $1 million, guarantee you do 20 more reps to 30 more reps. And you'd be like, oh crap, I really wasn't training 1 RIR, I was training like 30 reps in reserve. But I mean, obviously you don't have to train to like literally gonna pass out every set, but you should know, you start to understand how close are you truly to that. Just because it starts to burn doesn't mean you're 1 rep in reserve. It means you're a lot of reps in reserve. And there's other ways to kind of increase intensity like we showed you. But let's move on to our next exercise. All right, so we're gonna do a reverse facing pull down this cable. So essentially, is this your stuff? I'm sorry. Were you on this?
Yeah, Jack, my stuff.
Oh my God, you were on this?
It's fine, I'm done.
Oh, you sure? Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, you scared me so bad. That always looks so bad when like the 290-pound dude is like stealing equipment. It's not good. So we're gonna do a reverse facing pull down. So the reason that these are great is, first of all, it increases range of motion. So if I'm sitting on the seat, I'm gonna top this thing out pretty easily. So it allows me to scoot off the edge. What it also does is moves the vector force almost coming from behind me, which allows for really good stretch, but then a really good peak contraction through my lats. So I'll probably move up just a little bit. So you see also, I'm angling and leaning into the side I'm pulling with, which is gonna allow me to really drive that elbow in and increase the amount of lat engagement. So leaning into that side that I'm pulling with, which allows me to almost roll that shoulder over it, create better leverage and better peak contraction.
I have not done these before, but I'm up for trying it. Let's go. What I like about this too is, and this is definitely tension to this, is the other arm that's up is sitting under that tension, that stretch position the entire time. So the other arm's not resting. The other arm's getting pulled, and why it's not pulling your shoulder out, because he has to continue to activate that lat still.
I mean, you've been at this for a while. Obviously, you've got a ton of, you've created an amazing reputation for yourself in the industry of like providing really good information. When did you feel like it really clicked and like you started to really like explode in popularity, and what do you think was that catalyst? I know it's a really loaded question. COVID, yeah.
So I was putting out, so I had my channel since 2012. And I thought that I was going to be one of those, like, you know, I was watching Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler. I was going to be like that. I was going to put my videos out, talk about my life, whatever, and then people were going to watch it. And no one cares, because there wasn't any value to it. There's only value to me. So when COVID happened, everyone was locked in, watching whatever. It was like, right away, everyone's like, I need an at-home program, I need this. But then at the same time, getting questions like, how do you do this, how do you do this? So it was like, people People need to know how to do things. They don't want to just watch you do things, they want to know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
So all my content switched out to teach people how to do things from the very basics. And when I thought was basic at the beginning, when I first started the incline, I had I have a consultant that's like not in the space, and he's like, Johnny, that's not basic. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? He's like, dummy it down even more. I'm like, okay. I was telling like, grab a dumbbell in the middle of the fucking, grab a dumbbell right in the middle. And people are like, oh, I didn't think about that. And it's like, there's a ton of content that we can do that
huge.
people are just missing. Because you can teach somebody how to pull a fucking, you can teach someone how to do this exercise. But if you tell them how to do it from the floor up, there's like 15 cues that someone would probably need. Maybe they can use 2 of them that can actually get them tapped into how to do the actual exercise.
Yeah.
So that's when it came out. It was like giving people actually value instead of just showing people stuff that I want to see. It makes things for, you know, I make content for the consumer to get better. YouTube's a do-it-yourself video, you know, directory basically.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's key, and I think that's why I love your videos, is the fact that like, obviously you break it down to very, very like easy to digest way to consume information, especially when it comes to training. So obviously if you're watching this video, you obviously subscribe to him, but I think if you're not, you must subscribe to him because it's obviously so much good information, and it's the right information, because I know there's a lot of kids coming up that it's whole like, oh, you know, F science-based training, which I understand, like it's not fun to science-based train because it's a lot more meticulous, but I think we're a perfect balance of science-backed training methodology with intensity, because it's not just like, oh, let's do this little tiny thing, but like let's also train hard, right? Like you see us train, like we're training hard, and I think that's the key. So, but I think that's good advice for me, because I think you hear me talk, and sometimes it's a little bit too like, oh, what the fuck's Eric talking about? And so I think I need to do better about that myself. But
it's, I always try to do both. Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause you don't want to, because you still want people to empower people too.
Yeah.
So you can keep things simplistic, which is fine. But like, let's like, if you know, by now people probably know what hypertrophy is.
Yeah.
Right? If we were talking about hypertrophy the entire time, which I used to, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? And then you break down hypertrophy and like, okay, now I know what it is.
That's funny, because people think, I think people think they know what hypertrophy is.
Oh.
It's like when you ask people like, oh, what's the definition of this? They're like, oh crap, I really don't know what that actually is.
You train for strength or hypertrophy. Like,
well,
they're both the same, but if you're talking about myofibrillar and sacroplasma, you can make a little bit of a claim here and there, but it's movement, right? It's not a pulling straight down thing. That elbow is going in the longest route on the way down. It's not just pulling down, he's coming out and down and then going back up. It's almost like he's pushing his elbow away from his body, not just pulling it down in front of him. Good shit, Eric, come on. Come on. Good shit, let's go.
A lot of times the path of least resistance in training is a lot of times not the best, so this is harder, but it allows me to use less weight and get better engagement where I'm trying to target.
Good shit, let's go. Come on, drive, good. Good. Good, Eric. Oh yeah. Come on. Good. Good. Oh, I just know the pain right now. I know it. Let's go. That's it. Come on. Drive. Good shit. Let's go. Come on. Good drive.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Good shit. What's good too is like when at the end of the set, like you're getting full range of motion the entire set. Maybe like 3 or 4 we're getting 75% of that range. But the important part is that biggest part of the range we want to get, that's where the stress is staying on. So while he's pulling down, we're not going to try and just that. We're going here, right? If he's not coming, first it's coming all the way down. Then the last maybe 3, they're only coming here, but the emphasis is still stretch. If you're gonna do a partial, this is where you want to do it. Up here, not down there, right?
So one of the biggest things I teach people is to match the angle of that vector of force. So if that's coming from there, in order to increase that mechanical tension on the lat, I don't want to be upright completely, because what that's going to do is turn into a tricep and rear delt movement. If I'm here, I'll get some lats inevitably, but I'm going to be pulling more back than I am going to be pulling through. So if I'm pulling back, I'm going to engage a lot of rear delts and triceps and make it more like a push down. Whereas I'm here, I'm matching that vector of force. I'm getting mechanical leverage over the weight. When I tell people staying on top of the weight, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna dig in, squeeze. So you still see how I pop the chest up without standing upright. So there's a difference between erecting the chest here and standing all the way up. See the difference? That's here versus here. So that's gonna keep the impetus in my lats. Really good stretch, drive, squeeze through. And so I release it through the lats, consciously holding onto the tension from here all the way up through the lats. Over stretch, stretch more, stretch, 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 stretch. But don't rush the stretch, slow. Find that stretch in the lats. Keep the elbows up, reach, stretch. Feel that shit? Now dig. Good, squeeze, slow. Open, 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 drive. Beautiful, let's go, slow. Don't rush that shit. Stretch, drive. Slow, slow, open, 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 more, 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 more. There it is. Now you're working. Good, now speed them up. Don't stop, get it back. Speed them up, go. Don't stop, go, 1, more, 2, more, 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 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. That's a fucking set. Attaboy. Hell yeah.
When I see guys like Eric, like Nick Walker, like, you know, James Hongs, these are bigger bodybuilders, take a heavy load for a long duration with good form and extremely unbelievable body awareness. And that's the only way you can do this, is by teaching yourself, training your body to adapting to that type of environment. Your body is only going to adapt to the environment you put it in. So if you consistently put your body in an environment where it's being challenged for a long duration under a load substantial enough to continue to make you work but still be able to have good form, you're just going to get stronger on a bigger arch, and you're just dominate every time you train. That's it.
I'm gonna try to finish with one of my more compound pulls. So I don't know quite what we're gonna do yet, but the reason I do that is because instead of starting with my heaviest compound exercise, for hypertrophy reasons, I actually want to tax my body, get pretty close to exhaustion before doing my heaviest compound. So my heaviest compound is where it's my highest risk of injury, right? Because obviously the load's the greatest. If I'm doing it at the beginning of the workout, I'm gonna be the coldest. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, start with your heavy row, or, you know, heavy deficit row or T-bar row. But I like to finish with one of my heavier rowing movements because I'm so taxed that I only have to do maybe 60 to 70% of the weight. My body's really warmed up, and I get to mentally know, push through 2 to 3 hard sets, and the workout is over. So I think that's, if you're trying to train for hypertrophy, start to maybe adopt that a little bit more of, maybe get out of the mindset of like, oh, I need to start with my heaviest squats. Maybe put your squats at the end of the workout with a 4-second eccentric. You might have to use half the amount of weight that you were doing before, because you've already pre-exhausted with some of these other exercises that are a lot safer and get your body in a really efficacious position to perform those more compound movements. Last movement, as promised, we're gonna do deficit row. So this is just a feeler set. I'll probably just do 2 like full working sets, but as you can see, I'm on 2 full plates. So that's gonna allow me for more range of motion, more stretch at the bottom of the rep, which is gonna allow me for better tension through the full back, and also allows me to go a little less in the weight because I can use more range of motion. So twist it off. What I want to do is leverage my body weight back, and then what I want to do is stretch, and then I'm going to roll forward and tuck into basically my abdomen. So I'm going to rock the body back, really good stretch, in and squeeze. So you see I'm tucking those elbows back, really good stretch. Still good posture here, even on that stretch position. Push the body forward and squeeze that lower abdomen, get that really good lower lat pump.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on. 2. Let's go. Good shit, Eric.
Oh, nice. Crazy burn. Nice, man. These are perfect. Big pump. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Crazy, right?
It's like a raking of your lats. It's like
from top to bottom, just complete destruction. But
holy fuck.
One thing I'll say about that is it's technically a mechanically disadvantageous position for your body to be so horizontal, but because the Smith machine allows you to almost hold yourself up as you move back because it's on a track, it keeps that engagement in the lats better than, let's say, a free bar row, because free bar, obviously, there's nothing holding the bar in that fixed straight up and down plane. So as you pull back, you're obviously gonna fall backwards. With this, you can pull back and maintain tension on that lat without having to worry about falling backwards. Obviously, the extra range of motion helps continue, like you said, rake that lat all the way top to bottom. And the last thing is, sometimes the most mechanically advantageous position, which for example would be, you see how guys T-bar row, like 7 plates and they're here, like rowing like this. Like obviously, that's not very hard because you're almost in a complete upright position. So mechanically it's a lot easier, but sometimes easier is not better. So if you were to go here, go up on 4 boxes under each foot and T-bar row like this, I guarantee you're not gonna be doing 7, 8 plates, you're probably doing 2. And it's just as hard. So the amount of weight lifted isn't equating to mechanical tension placed on the tissue. So it doesn't just think you're moving 7 plates, you might actually be doing much for your back itself. You might be doing a shit ton for your grip and your traps, but that's not really what makes very aesthetic physique. Thank you guys so much for watching. Johnny, thank you so much for being in this video, being a part of this workout with me. Honestly, if you guys can find like-minded people to train with, it's like that communal experience can really elevate your workout, not only from like an intensity perspective, but also from just like that human perspective of having those interactions in the gym and creating those bonds. So really appreciate making a new friend today. We're gonna do this definitely again. If you're not following Johnny, he is a breadth of knowledge. He is probably one of those knowledgeable people in the space. I definitely put him up there in my mind with a Mike Rissotel of the space in terms of exercise physiology, in terms of training mechanics and efficiency. So go follow this guy. You'll learn a ton. And if you're not also following him on Instagram, I'll put that link down below. But thank you guys so much again. Johnny, how would you rate this workout, man?
I gotta give it a 10. To 10, and I thought that's not because I'm on this channel, because again, everything that was meant to be pumped and meant to be worked is worked. It's pumped. There could be no more done to it, and the rest of the other muscles that we're supporting, they're fresh. So,
let's go.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
And until next time, my YouTube fitness family, we are out.